Welcome to the latest episode of Gryphon Manor. Now, in the last episode, I spent quite a bit of time carving out the workshop space beneath the estate, and in the process, I learned some interesting things about some of the mods in the current mix. That task is now complete, and I'm ready to start adding proper storage systems, power production, and a whole host of manual, automated, and semi-automated crafting stations within that space. However, this episode will contain none of that. This time around, I'm putting on my flying goggles and scarf, and I'm headed to the wild blue Yonder to expand the known world out to 5 kilometers from the estate. Now, this is going to be particularly interesting and useful, at least to me, because I did quite an overhaul on the mod mix a couple episodes back, and the current mod pack is chock-a-block full of structures and other content mods. And that means that the chunks that will be generated by the game will now at least be slightly different from those that I've generated up to this point, perhaps radically different, and hopefully more interesting. But I say that it'll also be useful because there will be new materials, resources, and foods out there as well. And all of that will aid me in my future building endeavors. Now, I'm particularly keen on finding some of the new ores from the Immersive Engineering mod because I will need those materials to properly implement the Immersive Engineering infrastructure and machines. And now that I've built the workshop and storage space, it's time to figure out what those machines actually are and which ones I'll need, and then to go build them. And yes, I am just going to go out the door on an adventure, but I definitely have some specific goals and guidelines to keep in mind as I journey into the unknown. So first off, this is a journey of exploration. Now, my initial reconnaissance missions back in the day expanded the known world out to 2.5 kilometers from the estate, and that covers roughly 25 square kilometers. This time around, I'm pushing the border out to 5 kilometers, which will expand the known world to about 100 square kilometers. And that is a 300% increase. And so I expect that there will be quite a lot to see and do out there. And for this initial run, it's not my plan to stop and check everything out in detail. A good chunk of it will need to be tagged for thorough exploration on some future trip, but at least I know where it is, and perhaps more importantly, I'll have a much better idea what else is potentially out there waiting for me. There will be a lot of new resources out there, and much of it can be brought to the estate and farmed from there. Now, I'm particularly keen on finding some coconut trees, as they have a deep gold-colored wood that I would prefer for part of my storage system. But there's also numerous food crops, other new trees and wood types, and of course several new stones, minerals, and ores. And in some cases, I'll find resources that cannot be brought back and farmed, or can't be completely collected in a single go. And in these cases, I will add markers and journey maps so that I can return to them at a later date and grab some more. I will certainly find new villages out there, and thanks to the new mod mix, they should be interesting ones as well. And I will mark these, and they'll help me determine future countries or shires beyond the borders of Gryphonshire. Now, the additional geographical data will help me start surveying routes for roads and railways, as well as good places for ports and harbors. Immersive engineering introduces a concept of deep mineral deposits that you can't physically find or see in the game, but can still be tapped with specialized equipment. Now, I also have the Create Ore Excavation and Create Diesel Generators mods, which do pretty much the same thing in the Create context. And using both of those mods, I will also use this trip to take the opportunity to prospect for those deposits close to home. And I think that's enough to keep me gainfully employed for a while, so please sit back and relax as you join me on my little adventure. As of now, this is my little world as I know it. The star represents the estate, and from there I explored out 2.5 kilometers in every direction, though that's not quite accurate, as you would then be looking at a circle. So, to be more accurate and precise, I completed a clockwise spiral search pattern, pushing out 500 meters each time around, and since I was using the 4 corners as my navigation points, the map came out square. And yes, that works out to slightly more than 2.5 kilometers in every direction, and if that little tidbit was not bugging the hell out of you, it was certainly killing me. So now that it's off my chest, I feel much better and can continue. Therefore, in this episode, I will essentially pick up where I left off and continue spiraling outward. Now, the first trip around will put me right on top of the edge of the current map, and I'll be looking very hard for any sign of hard chunk borders or other potential weirdness after adding so many world-changing mods to this existing world. And since I'm excited to see how it all shakes out, let's get to it. I'm now using immersive aircraft to do my flying. Now, I love the look of the airships in Beastcraft and Landly Transport, but I hated dealing with the constant maintenance of the aircraft in Beastcraft and the navigation and visibility of the aircraft in Landly. I think immersive aircraft gives me a superior experience in both regards, but this airship looks a tad primitive. However, for now, I'm sticking with it. I think there's some resource packs out there that improve the appearance, so I might look for those and see how things shake out from there. In the meanwhile, I need to be on the lookout for a rocky area where I can sit down and gather a bit of coal. I have a very long ways to go, and I won't make it on a single stack of fuel. I found a nice deep hole that begs exploration, but I'm still well within the old world, and I used air quotes there. And since I'm in the old world, there's no chance of finding any of the new stuff, and that's the whole point of this expedition. So I will press on after I gather a bit of coal for the rest of the trip. The Landly Transport mod had generated a number of these little sky islands, and even though I've uninstalled that mod, the islands are now part of the previously generated chunks and are thus saved now and for the future. They are jam-packed with various little goodies, especially some materials that are otherwise in short supply at this early stage of the game. And that includes blocks of emerald, diamond, and endstone. Normally, when I'm exploring from the air like this, I prefer to fly during the day as it is too easy to miss key features at night. However, I sometimes get caught out over large body open water at dusk, or more likely I lose track of time, or as in this case, both. And at times like this, I fly close to the ground and find a fairly wide tree to settle on, and then I set up my bunk and sleep through the night in the uppermost branches. This has the added benefit of keeping me safe from most hostile mobs and prevents neutral mobs from climbing into my airship. The flight so far has been fairly unremarkable, as I've been flying pretty much over the border of the known world, and I've seen virtually no signs of changes in world generation. And so that's a huge relief. On the other hand, I've hardly seen any new content until now, and that is becoming a little concerning. Presumably, the new content will need space to spawn and or blend in. However, I've just spotted some coconut trees, and I'm swooping in to grab some of the wood and hopefully some saplings or whatever I need to grow them back at home. I've seen a few blossom trees, and this one was close enough to warrant stopping and grabbing some wood and saplings. Now, the trees are quite pretty, and they grow huge crowns of leaves, and they give a beautiful dark red wood that is comparable to mangrove wood in vanilla Minecraft. Unfortunately, the downside is they're a pain in the butt to harvest, because after I clear away the main trunk, it has log blocks hidden throughout the crown, and they're spread out. So I usually need to take a non-trivial amount of time to clear out the crown, section by section, until I find the last blossom log, and then the rest of the crown dissolves, usually right out from under my feet. This looks like it must certainly be some kind of structure or feature. And apparently it's not. However, this certainly is. I've never seen anything quite like this before. Oh geez, it's booby-trapped. I'm glad that I eased into this. Holy iron blocks, Batman. This thing is a treasure trove of resources. I have no idea what in the hell it's supposed to be, though. Now, I've stopped at a few of these sky villages, and frankly, they're kind of underwhelming. They seem to all look and feel the same to me, so after 2 or 3, the novelty's completely worn off. But unfortunately, the vertigo that they give me is apparently much more persistent. However, I love the idea, and since they're already floating way the hell up here, I think I may be able to transform them into something definitely more steampunkish than anything else I've planned so far. So I'll have to chew on that for a bit and get back to you. I've seen a number of large sailing vessels out there, and almost all of the single ships are crewed by pillagers, and a few are literally run by skeleton crews. Now, I've spotted a couple of small fleets of ships, and those are the ones that seem to be crewed by villagers. I've also found a number of large airships that are fixed in position in the sky. Now, I approached one, and some crazy skeleton warriors flying on giant phantoms spawned almost on top of me and immediately shot me down. Now, my feather-falling boots saved me. Barely. But I had a tough time ditching the flying skeletons from hell and then retrieving the bits of my airship and then putting it all back together again. And unfortunately, I had forgotten to start recording that session, so none of it was captured to share with you. This round of exploration has revealed that my volcanic region is nothing short of epic, and I'm thinking more and more that this region should be based on traditional Hawaiian mythology and culture. Now, frankly, I don't know very much about any of that, but I'm kind of excited about the opportunity to research and learn more about it so that I can do it justice here. To be honest, I really did expect to see more standalone and interesting structures than I've been seeing so far. And I wonder whether this is all because adding these mods to an already existing world has kind of reduced the likelihood of new stuff spawning, or... Jeez Louise, what in the hell is that? Holy moly, it's freaking huge! It's hard to understand the scale until you look at the trees at the feet of the structure, and then you can just see how freaking huge this thing is. I will circle around to see if I can find a way in. I'm definitely going to have to save this one for later. This looks like an entire episode, or possibly 2, just by itself. And as I peer in through the front door, 2 things are keeping me from going through the entrance. 1, I don't have enough time right now. And 2, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing straight up. And to quote General Douglas MacArthur, I shall return. I think I need to find a deep, dark cave or shaft somewhere where I can easily reach into the bowels of the earth to find some of these immersive engineering ores. And speaking of deep, dark caves, I think I may have found exactly what I need right here. What the? It looks like a big block of acacia wood. I wonder if it's solid. Nope, not solid. But where does this thing go? I don't think it really matters too much since it seems to be going in the direction I need and want to go. So cross your fingers for me. Okay. This must be one of Young's better mine shafts, including an actual mine shaft down. And that's pretty cool. Whoa, die you Neanderthal Ender. Okay, these must be the little jerks that are redistributing natural stone blocks all over the underground levels of the manor. Frickin' jerks. Ooh, spawner. Gotta kill it before... Jeez Louise, run away! Perhaps next time I should build a large wooden badger instead. The abandoned mine is proving to be a bit more diverting and dangerous than I really want at the moment. So I think I will work my way down to the bottom of this cave and do some ad hoc mining. I'm still hoping to find some veins of these immersive engineering ores. And that worked exactly like I hope it would. In fact, I'm tempted to stay down here for a while longer, but I really do need to keep moving. So this time I will quote the Terminator, "I'll be back." Hello, what's all this then? I was incredibly surprised to find this the first time, but you've got to be kidding me. There's 2 of them? I wonder if there's any significance to the fact that they seem to be on almost completely opposite sides of the map in regards to the world origin. and if I didn't have time to explore one, I certainly don't have time to explore another one. But it definitely shows up on the map, so I'll be sure to come back here too. And of course, when flying in an airship, one is almost obligated to fly through features like this. Of course, on the other hand, one good shot by a skeleton or pillager, and I'll be doing my meteor impersonation, and I'll probably be in for a lot more excitement than I'm really in the mood for at the moment. Yeah, okay, let's check out one of the smaller airships. First things first, though, I need to land and set up a fresh spawn point in case things get out of hand, and it's kind of late, so I should probably get some rest there before I go up in that thing anyway. Wait, the ladder goes down too? I really don't want to spend too much time down here if I'm going to go check out the airship, but while I'm down here, I might as well grab any low-hanging goodies. Okay, upward I go. I see buttons and switches galore, but except for the buttons, I'm not going to throw any levers or switches. Ah, my caution was warranted. It looks like this place is booby-trapped and has a few spawners, and looks like the bad guys are being spawned are both well-armed and well-armored. But this seems to be a small gold mine or redstone component, so yes please. It's a little late for the holiday season, but it looks like I found some walnut trees and cinnamon, and that would normally be perfect for all my holiday baking needs. But then again, who says I need to wait for the holidays to bake some goodies? Besides, I'd have to be nuts to let this opportunity go by. I'm almost done with my exploration, but I've not found as much immersive horror as I would like, and since I'm here, and that cave looks promising, I think I'll go take a look for some low-hanging goodies. Oh, jeez. Looks like that poor ferret's kind of stuck. Okay. Come here, little guy. There you go. Run and be free. Okay, I guess I'll land here and get some rest, and in the morning I'll do a flyby of this castle. I think I might even land, as it looks like it's an actual fortress instead of just another village, and that is definitely something new. Nope. Abort. Gaining altitude before somebody puts a couple bolt holes in my airship. I thought pillager towers were bad enough, but now I need to break into a bona fide fortress and then fight a bunch of pillagers. Yeah, I added it to the to-do list. The actual exploration of new lands is complete, and I will go over the analysis a little later, but right now I want to do some exploring closer to home. As I mentioned earlier, I have both Immersive Engineering and Create, and along with Create, I've installed the Create Diesel Engines mod and the Create Ore Excavation mod. Now, I don't yet have the ability to do any prospecting for Immersive Engineering resources, but I have created an oil detector from the Create Diesel Engines mod, and I've created an ore vein finder from the Create Ore Excavation mod. And now I'm wandering the area around the estate and Andover to see if there's any worthwhile resources close to home that I can take advantage of. Now, this is called prospecting, and it's a pain in the butt in the game, but if you ever try it and think that it's painfully boring, you should tag along with an actual geologist and try doing it in the real world, and then you'll remember the in-game experience with something approaching nostalgia. So here's what I found while I was out prospecting. Now, from this view, you can see the estate and Andover. Now, I limited my search to this general area as it involves moving through each individual chunk, using each of the two devices to scan, and then moving on to the next individual chunk, one by one. Now, almost right off the bat, I found a coal seam on the edge of the estate. And normally one doesn't think of an active coal mine on the estate of a stately home, but the location's just too convenient to at least not consider. Now, I also found a coal seam on what I expect to be on the eventual edge of Andover, and while I would love to add a little industry to the village economy, putting an actual working coal mine within the village border itself seems a bit much. So if I don't use either of these coal veins, I'll probably go looking for one on one of the other sides of the estate, because I expect the coal's not too rare, and these results kind of back that up. Now, while wandering around Andover, I also discovered a redstone vein very close to where I plan to build a church. And at the moment, I have plenty of redstone, and I expect it to be enough, or at least close to enough, for what I have planned for the base. So I'll probably ignore this vein, and if I change my mind about my future redstone needs at some point, I will probably look elsewhere for a new supply. Also within the borders of Andover, I found a source of crude oil. Now, for similar reasons as the coal and the redstone, I will probably leave this particular source alone. Now, this is especially true because just a short ways north of the village, I found 3 separate sources of crude oil in very close proximity to each other, and this little oil field is perfectly placed to support the village economy and for easy access from the estate. I think things will get pretty industrial and crowded out there, as I also found 3 veins of iron in the same general location. Finally, I got a whiff of zinc, and I followed the readings until I found a zinc vein a very short distance from town. So it looks like I have all the basics within easy reach. I just have to figure out which bits to tap into, how to tap into them, and in what order. For the exploration, this is the new world map. The estate is smack dab in the center of the map. Those 2 gigantic towers I found are here and here. And I'll need to sit down and go over this map a bit and then do some planning based on my analysis. But at the moment, here are some things I'm tossing around in my head. This tropical and volcanic region very much reminds me of my time in Hawaii, and I think it would be a great learning experience to study traditional Hawaiian culture and tradition and then try to recreate a bit of it here. I'm thinking of theming this area as either French or German, from the same era as Gryphonshire. And after figuring out whether Germany or France will be directly north of Gryphonshire, I'll put the other one here. I will probably theme this frozen area of the world as some flavor or mix of Scandinavian cultures, something very much like Arendelle from Disney's Frozen franchise. And as for the rest, well, that'll probably come with further analysis. However, I have a strong European theme already going, so I would like to focus on some Asian themes now. And there you have it. Now, I've pushed back the borders of the known world, and I've revealed many new wonders, including some very interesting places to investigate. I found some new foods, some new resources, and plenty of biomes I've not seen in this world before. But did I meet my stated goals? Well, I did expand the known world to 100 square kilometers, and in the process, I did find many villages, and I collected a great deal of map data, which I can now analyze, and then use that to plan out new roads, bridges, railroads, and more. Now, I did bring back tons and tons of resources, but if there was a disappointment here for me, it's in the fact that I didn't find as much or bring back as much of the new immersive engineering resources as I would have liked. I also thought that I would have found far more new food sources and trees. However, in the interest of time, I remained mostly in the air and was concentrating on opening up new lands. And to be honest, these types of discoveries are hard to spot when you're 200 meters above the ground. So I think there's still a lot more to discover in these lands, but I'll need to have my feet on the ground to find them. However, I would have to say that overall, this has been a successful episode, and now it's time to consider the next step. Now, with the storage and the workshop levels actually built, it's time to start fleshing out these areas to serve their intended purpose. And since my temporary storage space is crammed with the ad hoc manual storage system I've been using up to now, I think the best place to start will be with the permanent storage systems. And once I get that running, there will be a place for everything, and everything will be in its place. And therefore, I will then turn my attention to power generation in anticipation of all the machines and devices I'll need in the workshop and the estate in general. The unexpected discovery of nearby coal and oil deposits have opened up new opportunities and options for me, and so now I'm seriously reconsidering using water wheels for the base power. In fact, I'm almost certain that I will skip that step and probably go straight to steam engines or diesel generators. But since I really don't have much experience with either of those, I have some learning to do before I make up my mind which way to go, and then I'll need to alter the base design accordingly. But that's all part of what I enjoy about this game and this world. So I hope you find it interesting as well, and you will join me for the next episode of Gryphon Manor. Just a final note before I sign off. I have devoted and built a complete section on my personal website for the Gryphon Manor project, and you can go out there to find and download copies of my maps and planning documents and all the information necessary to set up and run this world in its current form on your own system. Now, just a note, though, that the configuration is highly customized, and while I don't have a top-of-the-line bleeding-edge machine, I do have a fairly beefy machine, so there's no guarantee that all of this will run well, or even at all, on your machine. And if you do run into problems, I won't be able to help you solve them. But I do hope you spin up the world and give it a try, because wandering around in the first person is much better than just watching a video. Now, I plan to update all the information as each new episode is released so that you can keep updated on what is going on and track my progress accordingly. Now, I'll go ahead and put a link to all of this in the episode notes. And with all of that said, I hope this finds you and yours in good health, good spirits, and a touch of good fortune. Take care of yourselves out there. Cheers.